ஓகே மேம். ஓகே.
நல்லா நேத்து பேசினவங்க மட்டும் ஆட்
Yeah.
பண்ணிக்கங்க.
ஓகே. ஓகே.
Yeah. Okay.
அமித்
So
பேசினாங்க, வந்தனா பேசினாங்க,
விஷ்ணுபிரியா,
விஷ்ணுபிரியா பேசினாங்க,
அனந்தலக்ஷ்மி சார், டாக்டர் ஜோசப் கச்சாரி சார் வந்து டெய்லி ஹேண்ட் ரைஸ் பண்றாங்க. பட்
ஆனா பேச
மாட்றாங்க.
போட்டு நேத்து பேசல.
ராதா அவங்களும் பேசினாங்க.
அந்த அருள்குமார் தாஸா அவர் பேசினார் நேத்து.
நான் ரைஸ் பண்ண எல்லாரையுமே ப்ரமோட் பண்ணிட்டேன் மேம்.
ஓகே. டாரதி ஏத்தி விட்டுருங்க.
ஓகே.
yeah, there she is.
போதும்.
ஓகே மேம்.
Yeah. So
yes ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. So welcome everybody. I think and I hope that good morning. I hope that
others,
yes.
please kindly don't talk loud. If madam ask any reply, you can answer it to that.
Otherwise, don't speak, please.
Yeah. So the idea is for you all to be on mute, and if there is anything and I need your help, I need your inputs, I will definitely reach out to you, and you guys can then speak, unmute yourself, and then kindly tell your name, and then you can start responding to the questions or give your inputs as and when required. Okay. Yeah. So let's begin. So yesterday's session was very interactive. Thank you so much to all the panelists who were there yesterday. I think most of them are here today as well. So continuing from what we did yesterday, we actually looked at some of the collaborative teaching strategies yesterday, and continuing with that, we are going to look at some more today, and hopefully this will give a better perspective to the teachers who are already on the panel, and also who are joining us through the live sessions as well. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to kind of post it in the chat, and we'll take it up towards the end of the session. The panelists, I request all of you to keenly participate in the discussion as and when required, as and when I ask you to. And it will be good if the session is interactive. The more interaction, it will be best for all of us. Okay. So with that, let's begin. So I'm just sharing my screen as like yesterday, and we will start. Okay, so the next strategy we did some 5 or 6 strategies today. We did KWL, which is know what you want to know, what you know, what you want to know, and what you want to learn. Okay, and then it was also a snowball, it was envoying, it was hot seating, it was fishbowl, and it was a mystery bag. Okay, so today we are going to look at something called as, I think a lot of you must have already known about it. Okay, you would have seen it, you would have heard about it. So it is called a role play. Okay, I'm sure some of you teachers who are already a part of the session would have used this particular strategy in one way or the other in your classrooms. Okay, so the idea is, why do we do role play? Okay, what does it help us with? Okay, it helps us with putting ourselves in the shoes of the character. Okay, it can be any character. Okay, and if you see, it helps us imagine. Okay, it allows you to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. It allows you to think of imaginary people. Okay, so say for instance, you can be a president, you can be a queen, you can be a millionaire, you can be a pop star, you can be anything, right? And you can then personify that person. You can be that person. You can act like a queen. You can act like a millionaire, right? You can act like the president. Okay, so same goes if you give this to your learners. If you give this particular strategy to your learners, then it will allow them to explore the nuances of the character, get into the character's skin, and then become that character, right? So it allows them to become imaginary people. Okay, it also allows them to have a debate. So say for example, you are trying to teach civics. okay, in social studies, if you're trying to teach civic sense, okay, or if you're trying to teach say elections, okay, or if you're trying to teach something about our our constitution, or our the way we our governance system, right? And then you want to do something called as a mock parliament, okay, and then you get them, okay, now let us all get together and see, watch videos of how parliament functions, how there is there is an opposition and there is the government, right? So you can have couple of children form the government, become the prime minister, become the cabinet ministers, right? And then you can have some children become the opposition leaders, right? And then you can have this kind of a little sort of a in Lok Sabha, how people speak, you can have a mock parliament. Yeah, so this actually allows them to experience real life situations. So role play allows you to experience real life situations. It gives you, it allows children to put or create that imaginary situation or that simulation in the classroom, and then act it out as real people. Okay, so this is what happens when you do role play. So say for example, you want to actually tell them on how about etiquettes, okay, table etiquettes or etiquettes, you want to inculcate etiquettes on how you behave, etiquette how you behave in a restaurant. So you can have a scene. If you tell them, okay, now let's do a role play on having somebody in a restaurant. You're going to meet somebody in a restaurant, or you are serving food in a restaurant. How do you interact? So you can have that kind of a situation. You can have a checking in at the airport situation. You can do a railway station scene. You can do anything that you are teaching. You can actually ask them to do a proper role play, and then you can go ahead and then ask them to become characters and then act it out. So it helps them, it gives them a lot of joy and pleasure. Yeah, so that really helps. Yeah, so moving on, how can you incorporate role play in the classroom? So it adds a variety. Okay, a lot of variety is added because you're not doing the regular chalk and board method. You are involving children to actually act out characters which you are teaching them. So there is a story, okay, but if you read the story, it won't be that much interesting as against if you actually become the characters in the story and you act it out. You become those characters and you act it out, right? So and it involves a lot of language. The language increases, the vocabulary, the language skills of the learners actually increase, and on top of that, it is a lot of fun. Okay, a lot of fun. Yeah. Also, the teacher also is involved. So the teacher just cannot be, not necessarily the role of the teacher can only be just like a mute spectator. You need not be like that. You can be, you should be actually a part of a lot of these role plays. Unless the teacher gets involved, the energy, the enthusiasm of the learners is not taken into it doesn't bind. They're not binded, they're not bounded together. So the teacher also needs to be involved. Okay, and also you need to think of how it can be made successful. As a teacher, you need to plan out before incorporating role play, giving the learners time to practice their roles. What dialogues are they going to speak, what props are they going to prepare, how are they going to present it, right? So all those things will require a bit of a time. So the planning for the role play is extremely important. So if you wish to do a role play, say for example, next week, then your preparation should start from this week onward, at least 5 to 7 days before you plan a role play. I think for it to be successful, that much time is required for the children to actually practice it. You can also do impromptu role plays, just on the spot. You give them like 5 minutes, you give them a small situation. It need not be a whole thing, a whole text. You give them a small situation and ask them to present. Okay, I tell them that this is the situation, and in this situation you are so and so, and your friend is so and so, and give them the characters and let them practice it for 5 minutes, and after that the children can actually come and perform. So coming to the role of the teacher, okay, so the teacher can be a facilitator. That means you need to allow children to understand what is role play. You need to allow children to take opportunities to participate. Okay, you need to also plan the role play. You need to facilitate that role play so that there is no confusion. Okay, every child knows what role he or she is playing. Every child knows that, you know, if I finish and if Vishnu Priya is the next who's going to speak, then Vishnu Priya should know that that Sushmita is going to stop right now. Okay, so this is my cue. Okay, my cue is this. As soon as Sushmita stops, Vishnu Priya is going to start. So that seamlessness, to bring that seamlessness, you as a teacher need to be extremely, you know, planned. You need to plan it so to the T that there is no confusion whatsoever when the actual role play is done. Okay, the teacher can also be the spectator. Okay, you need not be so once you are done with your, you know, back end work, you have, you know, prepped up the children, you've provided them with all the things, you've given them instructions, you've seen the rehearsals, everything is done. Then on the day of the actual role play happening, you can actually sit back and look at what your children are performing. How are they actually doing the performance? Okay, so that is what you can do. And finally, if you are very creatively inclined, okay, and if you wish to get back to your school days, to your childhood, you can actually become a participant as well. You can be one of the participants in the role play. Okay, you take your appropriate, you know, whatever you want to portray as. You can be a narrator, you can be an actual character in the story. Okay, you can be, so depending on what is appropriate to you, you can choose and become a participant in the session. Yeah, so that is very important. So that is the role of the teacher, right? So now from the panel, I would want to ask how you can use this in your classrooms. How can you use this to teach your lessons? Okay, okay, how can you use to teach your classroom? You can use your classroom. Okay, so please, the panelists, I would really want you to, you know, give me some ideas on where and how you can use this strategy to teach your children. Yeah, anybody
Hello,
from the panel? Yes.
hello, I'm Joseph.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah,
And
just one voice, please. Dr. Joseph, please go ahead. Yeah.
yes, in our biology classes, we used to teach cell and cell organelles.
Okay.
Cell and cell organelles. It is very
Mm-hmm.
effective. The students are actively participating in it. They take the role of a cell, then explain it, the function, structure, and everything. So it is used to be effective in our classroom construction.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Joseph. So you can use it in biology. Yeah, somebody else was also trying to say something. Yes.
Ma'am, I'm Vishnu Priya from Chennai, ma'am.
Yes, Vishnu Priya.
First, we have to given a situation like when you are entering into a biological botanical garden, then museum, libraries, whatever it is, what they can look like. There is a different variety of books will be there. Flowers will be there, leaves will be there, trees will be there. Then we are going to come back with the classroom session. Then what do you think about that when you are imagining about when you are in a botanical garden, what you have to see? Then then a teacher should give a character role like there is a variety of character like different kinds of flowers, leaves, whatever it is, ma'am. This is what I'm going to share with you, ma'am.
Thank you, Vishnu Priya. You can actually think of, you know, yes, yeah.
Ma'am, this is Amit from Jharkhand, ma'am.
Yes, Amit, please go ahead. Yeah.
Ma'am, I have used this method, role play, in my
I'm sure
classroom.
you would have. Yeah. And how did it go? How did
Ma'am, I was teaching the scene, the experience of APJ Abdul Kalam, classroom experience, in which he was separated because of his religion by the teacher. And I have made the students, one student I have made Kalam, and next student was made Arvindan Shastri, and next was the friend Ramanand Shastri. These three were the friends, and because of that, the teacher who belongs to a Hindu caste, he separated a Kalam to sit in the last row. And I have used this role play method to describe this scene lively among the students.
Very
And I have
nice.
used. And other so many times I have used this method. This is my favorite method, ma'am, to teach. While I am teaching, I regularly use this method in my literature part.
Yeah, I'm sure. So thank you so much, Amit, for sharing this, and Vishnupriya and Dr. Joseph as well. So the idea is, you know, what happens when you actually get children to do these role plays, they themselves start feeling that if I were in that situation, I would have felt so bad. You know, say for example, the Abdul Kalam's scene, for example, right? So in that instance, the children who are doing this will get that, okay, we should not discriminate. You know, that moral, the values will be developed. So you will think that, you know, you should not discriminate. Yeah. And then that is going to inculcate that habit or that value in the child, that every person is equal. So try to include the role play to your learning outcomes. So your role play should lead to the learning outcomes that you are looking at. Okay, so if you want to teach, if your learning outcomes are the children should be able to identify, the various cell organelles within a cell, then yes, so you can actually do a role play to inculcate or work towards that particular learning outcome. So good. Yeah, Navya, you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. I'm
Yes.
Navya from Vellore, ma'am. Actually, it is also applicable for kindergarten also, ma'am. I'm a kindergarten teacher.
Yes.
For example, if no behavior to the parents, how they have to behave to the parents. No, when they become a parent, how they will become not like that. How they have to behave to the parents. We can. How your mother will talk to you, how your daddy will spend time with you. So all that we can apply to the children, ma'am, when we are doing role play.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we are taking from you the cue. I would like to give a very general example. I think all of you would have kids, and younger kids especially. I don't know your children, but my children actually role play each and every day their online classes at home. You won't believe it. You won't believe it. They take systems, the systems are switched off, and then they sit in front of it and they start talking like their teachers, which is like so much fun to watch them. Okay, so if you have to see a reflection of yourself as a teacher, look to your children. You can actually see how teachers are. How is your teaching happening, right? How is their teacher teaching? You don't have to talk to the teacher. You just watch your children playing the role of their teacher, and you will get to know how the teacher is teaching your children. You get to know how so you see, so there is always this, good morning children, so everybody's saying good morning. So it is like very, very standard, and it is so much fun to watch. So you see how children imitate you. First, getting into the role of a teacher is the quickest thing that they can do, right? So good. So that is how children pick up, and they become so much ingrained in the character that it is very easy for children to understand the concepts. So that is why using role play is very, very important. It's a very, very age-old technique that is being used, and it can be used across all the subjects. Okay, so thank you so much.
Good morning.
Panelists. Yeah.
Good morning. This is Vandana.
Yeah, Vandana, tell me.
Yeah, actually, whenever, especially Shakespeare's plays, it's very difficult to understand.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm teaching, whenever I take Shakespeare's anything, last time when I was teaching Merchant of Venice, so making them understand get into the characters of Portia, this Shylock and all those things. So in order to make the class emphatic. So that definitely, and the thing just that you mentioned, that role model being a teacher. So in fact, at times whenever we are having fun, so I ask my students to enact me, so that I can come to know my flaws. Yeah. So in the class itself, I ask one of them to come and imitate me. So that in that way, okay, the people have a bit of fun also, and I come to know my flaws.
Yeah, very nice one. And I mean, doing it live in the class takes a lot of courage. So good show. Yeah. So also the one day in the year when students get to become teachers. Yeah. It's just coming around the corner, another 5 more days, 5-6 days, and it is Teachers' Day, and that's the day all students, you know, all of them kind of dress up like their teachers, all the senior students. Yeah, we used to do that when we were kids, and that's the day they actually play the role of the teacher. Yeah, so they go around classes, they monitor. I mean, it's so much fun that time as well. So yeah, so that's how it is. So using role play is a very good technique if you want children to understand the concepts, if you want them to actually get it. Because see, memorizing is one thing. You can look at it, you can go ahead, read and memorize and rote learn, and then you know, you go and you write your answers in the exams. That is one way of doing it. But understanding, because once you understand a concept, you can apply it anywhere, not necessarily only in the exams, right? So when now that yes.
Yeah, I'm Anantalakshmi here. I would like to know what is the advantage of the role play and mainly the disadvantage. I face when my children is imitating others, something in a wrong way. They are not only imitating the teacher, their behavior and attitude and their words, they also imitate that the passengers or the shopkeepers, wherever they see, whoever people they meet. They used to do the same action or the behavior. So sometimes it hurts me. Why is that elder people are doing some mistakes in front of kids like that? So I would like to know how to avoid such disadvantages happening in the children.
So the thing is, it's a very good question. Very good question. So when you are doing role play, now the role play is not. So role play can be done in different ways. So one is imitating, okay. One where you are looking at somebody and doing it, okay. So that is simple imitation. Now I am talking in a certain way. My child looks at me and imitates. So that is one way, okay. When you're actually doing a role play to teach a particular subject, excuse me, when you are actually doing role play to teach a particular concept, then you give the characteristics of that particular character, okay. You give them excuse me yeah, so you give them characters. So you say that this particular character is a short-tempered character, okay. The character has a very short temper. So in order to articulate that short temper, the child has to act like a short-tempered person, okay. Now that short temper is affecting somebody else. There is another character, okay. So that character gets affected. So when the child does it, the child knows that this is a negative feeling, a negative character that I am portraying, you know, a negative behavior that I'm portraying, which is hurting somebody else. So you see, even though children, if you tell them that you behave like this, the child behaves, and the other child, who is another character, feels bad. Yeah. So from that, the children actually get it that if you lose your temper for no reason, people get affected in a wrong way. So you see, even though it is a disadvantage to tell them or, you know, show them negativity, eventually it will turn into an advantage. Eventually the children will get to see that if I behave in a negative way, even so it is required by the character, that is the reason the character is negative, okay. And that is why the character shouldn't have been like this, okay. The character shouldn't have been like this. I need to take the good qualities from the character and identify and negate all the negative qualities. Do not take it. So it is more like a self-reflective way of children trying to find out what is wrong and what is right. Okay, now let's come to imitation. Now when you see children imitating, okay, you let them imitate, but also ask them questions on how this is going to affect others. Okay, so if I call names or if I bully people, okay, then how is it going to affect the other person? Yeah, so then when you start that dialogue with the child, when you ask the child is going to respond, and eventually you will come to a stage where the child understands that this is not right. Bullying is not right. Calling names is not right. Pushing and shoving each other is not right. Without reason, nothing is right. Okay, so I think the advantages and disadvantages for anything is always there. How you try to convert the disadvantage into advantage is a skill that we as parents and teachers need to learn and use also. Okay, so I hope I have answered that question.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay.
Ma'am, we've always been facilitators and spectators. But the fact that we can become participants alongside with children, I think that's a new learning. And yeah, that is also going to motivate them so much that we have come down, in par with them, and we can also be effective role models for them by being a participant.
Absolutely, absolutely. What we do. So there are these teachers who are into theater. So I have had opportunities to work with teachers who teach theater, right? And they are the people who actually participate in the play. But we should not restrict ourselves. As teachers, as adults, we should also become participants and try to participate. And as you mentioned, ma'am, that definitely gives a very big boost to the children's morale. Okay, so great. So thank you very much. So moving on, let's look at the next strategy. And the next one is called graphic organizers. Again, I'm sure, I don't know how many of you, but most of you would be using this without knowing that these are called graphic organizers. We always use a T chart, okay? A T chart. As you can see here, this is a T chart. When you do compare and contrast, okay? Advantages and disadvantages. You always draw a line and you put a vertical line down here, and then you put advantages on one side and you put disadvantages on the other side, right? So that is what you do. Yeah, and you keep on using it, but you don't know that it is called a T chart. Okay. Yeah, then we also use the KWL that I did yesterday. That was also a graphic organizer. Okay, and here what happens is graphic organizers are not necessarily only text. They are organizers. They allow children to organize knowledge and ideas using symbols and using diagrams. We all know that children mostly get visual inputs very quickly as against the textual inputs. Okay, so as you can see nowadays, a lot of online thing is happening. Even before, children were used to pick up stuff very quickly through YouTube or any online video that they watch. They used to pick it up very quickly. Why? Because it was both audio as well as visual. So rather than telling children to just look at the text, it is always good to present the text in the graphical format. Okay, so you can always present the text in the graphical format. It lets go of the boredom. Okay, it creates interest, a lot of interest and enthusiasm amongst the learners. It clarifies information. It allows for information to clarify in simple terms. Okay, it allows the learners to organize their thoughts. Okay, and it also promotes understanding. Very, very important. As I said, the conceptual understanding is the key to every learning. If the concepts are not clear, how much ever you read, how much ever you study, how much ever you go on and keep doing it, you will never be able to totally apply that knowledge in the real scenario. Okay, so that is never going to happen. So that is why it is very, very important that to promote understanding, if we use visual learning, that is good. And graphic organizers actually allow you to do that. So now I'm going to just share some graphic organizers, examples of some of it that you can see, which are used for various subjects. And after that, I would want the panelists to share their experience with graphic organizers on what they have actually used in their classrooms. Okay, so let's go. So here you see there is a T chart. This is called a T chart. It looks like a T. Yeah, here you can see a difference. So what are the various living and non-living things? So plants and animals, it's a difference here. This is a flow chart for a scientific experiment. Okay, it's called a flow chart. As you can see, what steps I will take, and then there are boxes, and then what you need to add, how you need to add. This is like which fruits have the most electricity. This is like a flow chart for doing a scientific experiments on which fruits have the most electricity. So rather than giving them something in writing, something in textual form, you present this as a part of a organizer. As you can see here, some boxes, and it clearly tells that what steps the child will take, what will be the results, and what do the results mean, what do they mean. Once I finish, this is what they mean. So it presents the information in a very clear cut understanding. It's very neat, it is very organized, and it is very clear. Yeah, so this is for science. Then I have something for math. You see here, this is called a web chart. It's called a web. Okay, so as you can see, it's like a spider web. There is a central theme here, and there are branches coming out of that central theme, which talks about the various properties of a quadrilateral. Okay, so this is called a web. Yeah, it's called a concept web. This particular graphic organizer is called a concept web. Now, this year, mathematics teachers, I'm sure you would relate to this very much. In grade 9 and 10, you have something called, a topic called as sets. Okay, and sets use only Venn diagram. Okay, and Venn diagram are basically these two intersecting circles. Okay, which are used again to differentiate, to find out, to compare two things. Okay, or contrast two things. So whatever, so in this example, it is area and perimeter. What is the difference between the same and what is the similarity? So if you see this overlapping circles here denotes similarities, and this part at the end denotes the differences. So what are the differences you can put on the outside, and wherever there is an intersection, you put the similarities. This again can be used for everything. It need not only be used for mathematics, it can be used for everything. Okay, so you can use it for comparing and contrasting parts of speech in literature. You can use it for comparing and contrasting two characters. Okay, you can compare and contrast scientific experiments. You can compare and contrast properties of metals. So you can do various things while you're doing this Venn diagram, not necessarily only in mathematics. Okay, so this is one of the other examples of a organizer. So here we have something called as a plot skeleton. Okay, so if you can see, this is like a skeleton. Okay, and it is used for reading comprehension in English. Okay, so you see here, what are the main characters, what's the setting, problem of the story, what is the event, how is the problem solved, and the ending, right? Also, what is the main character's needs? So there is a main character. What are his needs? What are the needs which are very obvious? What is it that is hidden? So you can build your own graphic organizer. I'm just showing you one which is very, very interesting, because children actually find this particular the skeleton very, very interesting for them to comprehend a story, rather than just telling them, giving them a paragraph and saying answer these questions. Okay, rather than doing that, you can actually do a graphic organizer and make the comprehension very interesting. Okay, so that is like, this is called a plot skeleton. Okay, then for social studies, we have a timeline chart. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember, we have a lot of time, dates to remember in history. When was this battle fought? When did British come to India? When was the first freedom movement started? When was Swaraj? When was Rolek Act passed? When was this? When was that? Okay, and it is very difficult for us to remember. So when you present it as like a graphic organizer here, as you can see, it becomes easy, because this will remain with the child as a part of their reference. So you don't have to all the time write it. You just write it once and keep it, and then use it as a reference as and when you need it. So this is called a timeline chart. As you can see, you can put in the date here and you can write what happened on this date. Same goes with the other dates. Okay. You can do it chronologically, like starting ascending, like starting from the earliest date to the latest, and you can fill in the timeline. Also, this is something called as a timeline boat. I call it the boat, because here it talks about who was the explorer. Okay, something to do with, if you're looking at Columbus. Okay, So then you can look at yeah, you can do that in an ascending order. Yes, of course. Thank you, Ananta Lakshmi. Yes. So this will so who was the explorer, which country he belonged to, when did he start the voyage, okay, what were the reasons of exploration. So all those things you can put it like in a graphic organizer like this, and you can try and get children to fill in this graphic organizer, and this will make it much more interesting. Okay, so these are some of the graphic organizers that I have collated and collected. Now I would want the panelists to actually tell me what kind of graphic organizers have you been using in your classrooms, and how is it actually helping you, make your lessons interesting. Yeah, anybody?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, this is Amit.
Yeah, Amit, tell me.
Ma'am, I have used this graphic organizer, but I have used this graphic organizer with a different name. I have given the name of concept mapping.
Okay. Which
and
one? This one? Okay.
And when I have to explain the characters of the story or anything, then I use with a diagram, and then I put the value points of their respective characters, and then I just give the only points, and students have to explain the points, and they can note it down with their with the concept map, and they can revise using the concept map before the examination. So I encourage the students to make this kind of concept mapping like graphic organizer in a different way, because they can store the information in a very short way.
Right. Absolutely.
And if they have this kind of a store in a very short way information, then they can revise quickly before the examination. So I encourage the student to use this kind of method to make the notes when they are preparing the notes.
Right. Okay. Oh, yeah. Any others who actually do this?
Ma'am, this is Vandana.
Yes, Vandana, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I teach English as well as social studies.
Yes.
So yeah, so I all the things that you mentioned, almost everything I use, especially Venn diagram. Whenever I just had that various spheres, atmosphere, biosphere. So biosphere, so that Venn diagram I used. Okay, and then the other one that you said is that web chart. So web chart generally whenever we are discussing character sketch of a person, so all the various attributes of that person, so it all comes, and that helps the child to plot the character sketch. So whenever I'm dealing a character sketch in the class, so first one by one I'll call all the students to the whiteboard, and I'll ask them to write down, sketch out. So I get an idea about each. I include each and every student, try to include. So that then the other one that you said, it is the T chart. So while teaching helping verbs, auxiliary verbs, main verbs, so all those differences that can be pointed out, and that plot skeleton, that generally whenever I'm teaching a story, so I generally take up that technique. And the other two that your timeline board I use for authors. Whenever the child has to, we are discussing about the author or about the poet. Generally, I use that, and the timeline. Generally, I gave once to them, so that they write about the timeline about themselves. Means all the various important events in their life. So
right,
that was interesting. Yes.
Right. So how do the children take it? How do children take it? Yeah. One second.
They are very interested. Yes. Okay, all these techniques, that makes it very interesting. Otherwise, the class becomes very boring. But when you include the students in all these things, it becomes very entertaining, and they also take a lot of interest in this.
Yes, absolutely. That is the idea. Rather than just telling them, showing them, doing the chalk and board, telling them to read this. If you try, it becomes extremely interesting, and they participate very well. Yes, Ananta Lakshmi. Yes, go ahead.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, Anant Lakshmi.
Ma'am, I'm when I'm taking the class for math, I used to dramatize the concept first, whatever it may be. First, if it is a round means, right from the lower classes, I used to take a round, which means a wheel or a bangle or the sun. From that concept, I used to take it and then dramatize it. So, after drawing that circle, when I'm explaining the radius and the diameter, I will be dramatizing it and making only as a picture. Then I'll bring the concept of what is R and what is the D is.
Very nice.
Then
Very
the student can able to understand it very
yeah. Thank you, Anantalakshmi. Yeah, Vishnupriya. Yeah, Vishnupriya, please. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Vishnupriya from Chennai, ma'am.
Yes.
You can say like this. I have to utilize all this graphic organizers in my subject. Like science, we are utilizing a timeline map for a different scientist. In which period is going to find out like that. Then another will be you have to mention like social studies. Like one of the diagram will be there. Then where it can found. Then who is responsible to find out this this structure. Then I have to a lot of ideas will be there.
Yes.
But how am I going to express? I don't know, ma'am. Because and then difference between disease of plants, animals, then humans. In difference between first you have to going to take, ma'am. So that's why, ma'am. A lot of ideas will be there, but how can I going to express in English? I don't know, ma'am.
So Vishnupriya, you need to first collate all your thoughts together and create a plan, and then you need to pick out from there what exactly you want your children to do, or what is your learning outcome, what do you want them to learn. So pick from that ideas and see which is best suited to your children, and then you go ahead and implement that particular idea. Okay, don't take everything, because you take everything, it becomes a jumble. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yes, Dr. Joseph, you've been wanting to speak. Yeah. Please go ahead, sir.
In our biology classes, we extensively use the T-chart and flow chart to teach the senses, systems, then movements of food through digestive system, functioning of neurons, and all these type of topics we elaborately used T-chart and flow chart.
Yeah. So that is why I took
seems to be highly effective.
Popular. Yeah. Very popular. Yes. So So thank you so much. Amit. Thank you so much, Vandana, Anantalakshmi, Vishnupriya, and Dr. Joseph for sharing your ideas. Yeah. Just to continue again, we will see on what are the advantages. What are the advantages of using the T chart and flow chart and this graphic organizers that we were talking about. Okay, and then we can move on to the next topic. Okay, so here I go, and I'm sharing my screen again. Yes, and so some of the advantages of graphic organizers, which I had already mentioned but want to repeat, is it helps clarify thoughts. So when you tell a child too many things together, the child is not able to process it. Okay, so when you break it down into smaller pieces, and then you tell the child, okay, now this is something I'm giving you, like a picture, and in the picture you kind of put in your thoughts. And then it becomes extremely easy for the child to clarify his thoughts and put down the thoughts on that graphic organizer properly. Okay, also it helps the child to organize and analyze new information. Because when large amounts of information is displayed, even for us it becomes extremely difficult. So when we also design PowerPoints, we ensure that it is a mix of text and visual. It is not only text. So if you see a lot of text which is not making sense, you will shut down. Your mind will shut down. It will not relate to what the presenter is trying to tell you, right? Same goes with learners. If a teacher just comes in and goes blah 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 blah, blah without any without stopping, he or she goes on like an express train, the children just don't get it. Okay, it just goes over their head and it doesn't make any sense to them. So when you actually pause, take breaks, and then you tell them that this is something on how it is represented, you actually show them how it is to be represented, then I think it makes more sense to them. Okay. Also, it allows children to think critically, because when you give them a blank template, they then start thinking, oh, now I need to think about this character. I need to think about what are his what are his good qualities, what are his bad qualities, where was this character in the story, what was the problem the character was facing, what are the other things the character did. So to all answer all those questions, the child has to think. The child has to make connection, understand relationship, and recall all the related details to fill in the graphic organizer, right? So that is why it allows them to think very, very critically. So graphic organizers are just not picture diagrams, okay? They are tools. They are very important tools that are used to inculcate critical thinking, to inculcate organization skills, to inculcate clarifying of thoughts in a child. Okay, otherwise it is very, very difficult for children to actually understand the concept and apply it in real life. Yeah, so this is a very, very important technique. Okay, and we should not take it to be just some picture diagram. Okay, please, I mean, use graphic organizers liberally, but try to use it as per the requirement of your subject. Okay, don't just use it for the sake of using it. Okay, use it because you want to try and get children to understand a difficult concept. If your concept is difficult and if you feel your children are not getting it, then use graphic organizers to make them understand that concept. And I can assure you, and as our panelists have given some examples of how they use it, children will be able to understand the concept extremely easily. Okay, yeah, so that is about graphic organizers. And moving on, the next one is called a Scamper. Now Scamper is an acronym. Okay, it is not a name. Okay, so here each letter stands for something. Okay, so S stands for substitute. Okay, C stands for combine, A stands for adapt, M stands for modifying, magnifying, or minifying. Okay, P stands for put to another use, E stands for eliminate, and R stands for reverse or reuse. Okay, this is a problem solving technique. Okay, this was developed by Alex Osborne. Okay, Alex Osborne is the father of brainstorming, and he came up with this idea that you can use this particular set of letters, okay, or set of things, set of things one after the other to solve a particular problem. Okay, however, Bob Eberl, okay, who was a big education administrator and an author, tried to fit in these questions. You can see the questions here and next to each letter. So he tried to fit in the questions for each of these letters. Okay, so he said, if I'm given a problem, what can I substitute it with? What can I combine? How can I combine something, this thing with something else to make it a little better? How can I what can I adapt it to? Okay, what can I adapt it or copy from? How can I do that? Okay, what can I magnify or put more emphasis on? How can I put this item to other uses? What can I eliminate or simplify? And now can I change, reorder, or reverse to make it more useful? Okay, it also represents a strategy for changing a situation or a problem, and it doesn't have only one solution. Okay, there can be multiple answers and multiple solutions to one problem. That is what brainstorming is. You present a problem and you get various solutions from different people. This is a process, a structured process to do brainstorming. Usually what we do, we put up a problem and we ask everybody to brainstorm, come up with ideas. So there is no structure, right? So Scamper gives you a structure. It gives you a structure to solve your problems and come with specific solutions. It can be different solutions, many solutions, but it allows you to follow a structure. Okay, it tells you what you need to do if there is a problem. How can you approach it step by step? Okay, yeah. So now I would want there is a problem statement, and I would want my panelists here to actually help me work through Scamper, okay, by using all these various acronyms. Okay, so all the panelists here, I would want your help here. So the problem is just right in the next slide. Okay, so this is my problem statement. Children don't like to study. Okay, this is my problem statement. So if you are a parent, or if you are a teacher, if you are an educator, you are anybody in general, you meet children and you ask children, do you like studying? And children say, no, I don't like to study. Okay, so now this is the problem statement. How would you use Scamper to solve this problem? Okay, yeah. So panelists, are you ready? Yes, so we will start with the first one, substitute. What can you substitute study with? Anybody? See, I told you there is no wrong or right answer. There is no one solution. Go ahead. Yeah.
May I say, this is Meenakshi?
Yes, yes. Yes, Meenakshi, go ahead.
So I guess if the students do not want to study, so the first thing is substitute. We need to substitute that thing with some of the other things that the students they are liking pertaining to different learning styles. But our objective should be only like my objective is I need to teach the students. Maybe in science I have to talk about biodegradable, non-biodegradable substances or whatever the topic may be, and the child is not at all interested. So I can substitute it with the help of different activities. I may cater to their learning styles. If they are the visual learners, I can show I can take them outside in the ground and they can visualize themselves, like how the different kinds of waste it is being segregated. And apart from it, like kinesthetic learners are there, bodily activities they want to get involved in. I can organize for some community outreach programs where the child himself or herself can be involved and will get to know about that thing. So here comes the brainstorming on the teacher's part. What we have to cater to the needs of the individuals.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? The substitute for the problem? Anybody else?
Ma'am, this is Vandana.
Yeah, Vandana.
Yeah, actually, for me, generally, when because a lot of my students they have that dramatic capability. So whenever it is either a poem or a drama or a story, I try to make them enact that. If it is a poem also, I just make them understand a bit of the concept, and then they literally try, even if it's a drama or it's so, because all of them are very interested in doing a bit of role play or anything.
Role play.
So role play. So automatically when when the story, otherwise if the story is narrated to them or by visuals, they I personally have felt it doesn't have that impact when they actually get into that characters, into those characters, and they enact it out. They really enjoy. I have felt that way.
Okay, Vandana. Yeah, right. So you are so basically the substitution can happen with bringing in role play, bringing in various other strategies to teach, taking them out as somebody suggested here. So that is how you can substitute, so that you can build in the interest, and then they will probably like to study. Okay, now let's come to the second one, combine. What can you combine study with so that the problem is solved? How can you solve the problem of children not liking to study by combining it with something else?
Ma'am, I would first check with the children the reasons why they are not liking that studying aspect. Okay, so when I ask them this question and they get back to me with what the reasons are, then I will try to combine what they like doing with the studying aspect.
Oh, beautiful. Very nice, Dorothy. Very nice. Yeah. Anybody else?
May I add on to it something, ma'am?
Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, whatever ma'am is saying, that is right. Like as a teacher, I should know why the child is not liking particular topic or a particular concept. For that, for this, I would certainly would like to refer to the anecdotal records that I will be receiving from my previous class teacher. I will be referring to it. Like for particular child, I would like to study like what were his or her areas of interest in the last class that he want to carry forward to it. So definitely, if suppose the previous teacher has observed and mentioned like the child is not good at numbers maybe, but the child is very good in linguistics, so surely I would have to adapt my strategies to combine the linguistics and mathematics part. Maybe the child is very good in art, so right now also we are following this art integrated learning, teaching learning methodologies. So definitely I would like to combine those different like I'm teaching them as individual disciplines, individual subjects. I would like to prefer transdisciplinary approach instead of this standalone approach.
So that is your combined part, and also the adapt. I think you did mention about the adaptation also.
Oh yes, unintentionally I did that.
Yeah, no problem. That's all right. So that's great. Yes. Go ahead. Yeah. Who's this? Yeah,
I am Batma Priya from Salem.
Yeah, tell me.
How to use in a slow learners? So intelligently students will be all of the things in acceptance. But slow learners, so I am a math teacher. So slow learners cannot understand anywhere. So how to develop that students?
Yeah, so I don't know if you were there yesterday in the session. We did a lot of grouping strategies, okay, where you group children, you create a mixed ability group, and you actually get your slow learners along with your average learners and some advanced learners together and allow them to work together. Okay, so once the children see, the slow learners see how it is working, okay, how things are working and how the average learners and the advanced learners actually work through a problem, you keep repeating it, and then eventually with some support from you as a teacher, they will be able to get it. So it is yesterday somebody said that peer teaching is so very good, because when children understand and when they teach their peers, those children get it much better than what we as adult kind of try to tell them. Okay, so peer teaching really will help. Okay, putting them in mixed ability groups is going to help. Okay, allow them to kind of talk and speak and ask questions. Okay, and also some extra time, not the regular time. You have to give them some extra time, after school time, or you take some time from the normal school hours and provide them that scaffolding that is required. And I'm sure your slow learners will also pick up the concept. Okay, and make it simple for them. Okay, so if you are teaching, say for example, fractions, so don't teach in the same way as you would teach all other children. For them, you have to make the content a little simpler, related to real life situations, related to real life scenarios where they can relate to it and understand the concept. So you have to differentiate. Okay, once you differentiate, automatically the slow learners will pick it up and they will come at par with your average and advanced learners. Okay, yeah. So moving on. Now the next one is, what can you adapt? So I think one ma'am actually did mention about adaptation. Yeah. So anybody else on how you can adapt your adapt something so that the problem of children not liking to study gets solved? How can you adapt? Anybody from the panel? How can you adapt?
Ma'am, once again, this is Vandana.
Yeah, Vandana.
Yeah, actually, a lot of students in my, it's just that everyone has hidden talents. Yeah, each child has a hidden talent. Yeah.
Yes.
So especially whenever I'm teaching, then I try to use their creative skills, like a story. So some people are very vocal. So I give them something like two people, okay, discussion. Make it something like you are presenting, act like a TV model or something like that. And some people I give them to create that into a form of a poem, the same story into a form of poem. Some ask them to write that in the form of a script.
Yeah.
Okay, so that way adaptation. So each child gets adapted according to their inner talents.
Right.
So that way I try to use.
Okay.
And some people are good at drawing, so I make them do a bit of comic strip.
Yeah. So Vandana, this is called process differentiation. Okay. So this is called process differentiation. So you are actually differentiating the process in which you are actually getting children to understand the concept. Okay. So you are adapting your process to the requirements and needs of the learners. Very good. Nice. Okay. Then we move to modify. Yes. Anybody else?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
this is Amit, ma'am.
Yeah, Amit, tell me.
Ma'am, I find some problem in my students when they start the classes in their when they start their early classes in English and they can't speak English. Okay, so ma'am, I will just accept their own language in the communication way, and gradually I will try to develop their skills in English. But first I will start adapting the students' personal language, local language, because in our area, I come from Jharkhand, and most of the students from my area can't speak English perfectly in a very small classes, in earlier classes. So I gradually develop their confidence in English by adapting their own language. Okay, and through this their communication skills will develop, and when their communication skills will develop, then they will move on to the English communication. Actually, I have found the problem in the students because in the very starting period they can't speak in English. True. Yeah, and for that I'll have to be bilingual or multilingual, and I will give respect their own language also.
Yes.
And if I will give respect, then they gradually will understand that, oh, I have to learn English and I'll have to communicate in English.
Right.
Using his own language. Even our NEP, ma'am, NEP 2020.
I know. Beautiful. It has got a lot
focusing
of,
on this kind of skills.
Yes,
so I will adapt the students' personal and local language first, and then I will move them to my language in English.
Okay, that's a very, very thoughtful gesture. Very nice. Mr. Amit, thank you so very much. Yeah. Okay, then moving on to the M. What will you modify? What will you magnify? What will you minify? Okay, what will you do so that your children, the problem of children not liking to study changes? Okay, is there anything? So the modification can come. You have mentioned, a lot of you have mentioned that you will change the way you teach. You will change the way in which you will use different strategies. So that can be, modification of the way teaching is done. Okay, so that it becomes interesting, right? Then put to other use. How can I? So this is like related to can we teach? How can you? Or what can you do to put studying, like something that will make children like studying? Can you put study to some other use?
Ma'am, the best way is to make the subject that we are teaching relevant to the context that we are living in. If I tell my children, if you study English well, these are all the options that you have in the world later on. You can become a communication expert. You can become a soft skill trainer. So if I open their minds to all the possibilities that are there in the world because of studying the subject, I'm sure they're going to get interested.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Dorothy. Okay, then moving on. What can you eliminate to make study interesting? So that the problem of, I don't like to study goes away. What can you eliminate?
Ma'am, this is about children hating a few subjects. Especially maths. Many people have I mean, they just hate the
Aversion.
subject. There's an
Aversion, yeah.
aversion. Yeah. So, and basically they ask this question: what am I going to do studying maths? I want to become maybe a person in culinary arts. Where am I going to use trigonometry? I think when such questions are asked, we have to think of substitute answers, you know, to tell them, if you study maths, probably you won't use it, but then it helps your brain to develop. It increases your thinking capacity. You know, by giving them alternate positive outcomes of the subject, I think we can eliminate all of these ideas that they have about how a subject is not going to help them.
Yeah. Okay. So you would want to eliminate their preconceived notions. Okay. That's nice. Anybody else?
Yeah, definitely. I would like to add on to it something. Like it can be, why can't we think like this? Like if a child is having interest in a particular subject, and suppose the child is having inclination towards history or maybe the social sciences, whatever he's studying, but the child exactly he doesn't like numbers, mathematics, trigonometry, or whatever the ma'am was explaining. So, but the child, because if I say I experience myself, and the students they put this question to me, like, ma'am, I have got inclination is this particular subject. Why I have to study this trigonometry? This is of no use, because I somehow I have to clear only till 10th standard I have to do is, and from 11th onwards I will be having particular my subject of my choice. Then I guess here the eliminate portion works is, at least number one, we have to make the child understand, like as per the existing policy right now, whatever class you belong to, you have to study this till this standard. All right, your inclination is toward particular subject, you should go for that particular subject. But apart from it, mathematics, if you are learning, you are not liking it, you should focus on some important aspects that are relevant to it. I guess I should not be expecting, like my child, like all our children, my children, when I'm teaching them in the class, I should not be expecting wonders from them each and every subject. At the end, everybody's liking is different. Everybody's interest areas, they are different. If I'm talking about myself, or maybe you are talking about yourself at your age or at my age, I was not aware about what is my favorite subject, what is my inclination about. But nowadays the students, they are very particular. They say, like even in the childhood, they say, I want to be a professor in history. I love history. So it happens. So I guess we need to try to make that thing simpler for the children instead of creating unnecessary pressure on them.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. Anybody else who would want to eliminate something so that the study becomes interesting for the child? Yes. Somebody was saying.
First, the aversion for learning a subject or regarding the school subjects, it only starts only from the parent level. Then when we are introducing a new subject or the concept in the school level, they can get automatic interest. That is the second level, I feel. When we are showing that importance, how apply English in our day-to-day life, also Tamil in our day-to-day life. When we are using numbers, particularly maths, maths is full of numbers. We are applying everywhere. Like when we want to see the time, when we want to take a 5 minutes rest, like that. If when we want to pay some amount, that is number. Everything comes regarding the number only. So that importance of the numbering system, first we have to make them clear. Slowly we have to make them to add. Slowly we have to enter into their mind to know the importance of the studies. That will make them to think in a different way, and it will create that interest in the subjects. So we have to allow them to apply whatever they know up to the level. First we have to make them to allow them to express their ideas, whatever their drawing interest or they want to enact or whatever it may be.
Okay.
Child to speak, whatever it may be. That will bring us a lot of ideas, a lot of new concepts to teach in different ways. The interest first should be created only by the parents. If the parent doesn't like to learn Hindi or like that certain subjects, that word itself is showing not to learn the subjects.
Okay.
For them.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Automatically, when we are giving some special attention, if they don't like to study that subject, we are putting them in tuition. So in tuition classes, they are giving them special attention, individual attention. That creates them that interest. That proves them their level of in higher level to understand the subject. So they are liking that subject. That's it.
Okay. So you mean to say that you need to eliminate biasm towards any specific subject. Okay, you have to inculcate the interest for all the subjects at every time.
It should be from the home
initial
level
stages. Yes.
Why that the studies are important.
Okay.
Why we need the studies like that? First, we have to show the importance of studies.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else? I think somebody was. Yes.
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, I feel for developing interest in any subject, it is very important that each and every child should be given importance in the class. Most of the time, it is generally the toppers. They are given a lot of importance, and generally the other children they are neglected. So I feel for creating interest, it's very important that each and every child should be given participation in the class activities and in the class, so that it develops interest in the child, number one. Number two, because everyone's IQ level is not to that extent. So they should be boosted by giving them chances in extracurricular activities and any other activities organized by the school. So that way, I have felt basically that the confidence level boosts up and they start taking interest in the subject.
Right. Also, with the grouping techniques, I think that we have discussed in the last 2 days, yesterday and today, I think we can involve everybody. If as teachers, we kind of try to inculcate this grouping activities all through our academic year in some form or the other, I'm sure it is going to help children who do not want to kind of come to the forefront automatically will be involved. They will not be left out, is what I feel. Okay. So thank you so much. So this is and the last one is, how will you reorder or change or reverse the process so that children start liking? Can you reorder it? Can you change something so that children start liking study, like the studying part of it?
I have something to add.
Yes.
Ma'am, when we are talking about reuse and reverse, why we as a teachers have to do it? Let us our students take the onus of their work. If we give them ample opportunities, ample options to choose from them, let them select from it. Like in our class, like in when we were young, we used to play tic-tac-toe. Why not to give that kind of options to our students? If in my class I am giving them 5 options, I say, okay, fine, from these 5 options you select the 3 activities that are relevant to particular subject, and you have to choose one and attempt it. Obviously they will be selecting as per their choice, as per their interest areas. But again, here comes the role of a teacher. Whatever activities I have to plan, that should be relevant to the particular topic. Initially, ma'am, you discussed about like different kinds of graphic organizers. So if I am giving them graphic organizer option, I'm giving them, okay, you can present your ideas through drawings, or as ma'am was already discussing, some was of the panelists talking about like rhymes, music, and all those things.
Theater.
Yes, the role plays, the performing arts and all. If I give them ample opportunities and the child selects as per his or her interest areas, then our job is done, and the children are doing, they're doing on their own.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess then it will be reversed, and that can be reused, and let the students take the owners of their work.
Yeah, let them become the teachers themselves, like choosing their own areas of interest, choosing their own questions, choosing their own, give them the choice. We need to give them choice. Yeah, very, very well put. Yeah. Anybody else? One last person who wants to speak on how you can change, reorder or reverse, and then we move to the next strategy, because we are a little short of time. Yes.
Ma'am, flipped classroom also can be a choice.
Yes,
Flipped classroom.
absolutely, Vandana. That is wonderful. Flipped classroom. I was waiting for somebody to say that. Yeah. Okay. So flipped classroom. Yeah. Can you explain that a bit, please? Vandana?
Yeah. Generally, I tell if a new lesson has to be taught, so I assign one of the students to come prepared. Maybe a group I assign. Okay, and I ask them to come prepared with that lesson. And it is the students who make the class enact, means it is one child, not a group trying to teach the entire student and entire class the concept of that story or any poem. And they involve, just like a teacher, they involve the students, they create the groups and all those things. So generally it is one group one day, second group another day, third group. So that way each and every child is given to be a part of the group.
Yeah. Thank you, Vandana. So
just one last thing I would like to add.
Yes.
Like, why, like, as I already mentioned, being a teacher, it becomes our responsibility. We have to go creative. If we the thing is, number one, making teaching creative, and number two, helping the children to become creative. So there are the two aspects of that.
Yes.
The first comes to us. We have to be creative. Like we have to look for different instances from where the students can learn. Like I just want to give just one general example. Just recently, we all people celebrated Janmashtami or the different event. So if Janmashtami was celebrated, it's not like the students, they have to just draw the picture or color, maybe decoration of a matki or maybe flute and all. If I have to think in another manner, like Krishna ji, Kanha ji was known as Makhan Chor, and let us discover more about Makhan or butter. What is the nutritive value of the butter? How the butter is different from refined oil that is being using nowadays. Can we just explore about the journey from milk to butter? Let us explore and develop an itinerary. And I am teaching science, I'm teaching physics and all. I'm teaching about force. I may ask my students, let us explore how force is required to hit and that the matki and all that is dahi matki.
Yes, absolutely.
Everybody is standing and just going to reach that dahi auntie. How much balance is required?
Balance is required. Yes.
If I make my students think in that manner, definitely that will be related to the real life. In that case, your all Scamper, whatever you have mentioned, substitute, combine, adapt, minimize, make, everything will be
taken care of.
In that,
Yes. Absolutely. That is a very wonderful example. Thank you very much. So this is in any which ways we can, become transdisciplinary. We can involve not only celebrating the festival, but also involving a little bit of science, a little bit of physics, a little bit of, culinary arts, a little bit of history in terms of timeline. So all of that can be involved. Very, very wonderfully said. So this is so great. So I think yes. So when we talk about strategies, the only thing is I would want teachers also to be taking all these strategies, thinking beyond the normal that they're doing and thinking beyond on what you can actually get children to, just do in the classes, just so that they understand the concept and try to apply it in the real life. Okay, so that is about Scamper. Moving on, the next one that we will look at is, so this we did already. Okay, and this is field trips. Again, field trips we all do. This is nothing completely which is very new. However, I would like to point out that the field trips we do is basically taking children to some place and just asking them to go around the place and come back. Okay, so that is not the idea of a field trip. A field trip should be related to a specific learning outcome. It can't be a random visit to a park. It can't be a random visit to a museum. It can't be a random visit to a zoo. It can't be a random visit to any entertainment area. It need not be that. It needs to be a focused field trip, because a field trip enhances the curriculum. It gives a new learning environment. it involves the child in team building, because you group the children into smaller groups. You know, the whole class is grouped into smaller groups, and then they are given specific work, okay, to go and do when they are on their field trip. Okay, so say for example, you want to teach children composting, okay, the idea of composting, biodegradable, degradable, right? And to extend that particular concept, you would want to take a field trip to a composting plant. Now, just taking the children to a composting plant, walking them around is not going to help. You have to give them something where they can take notes, you know, some sort of a template where they can take notes. They can note down, okay, why is composting used? Okay, what are the advantages? How is compost made? And how much time does it take? So all that they have to note it down while they are visiting the plant, right? It can't be just a random visit and coming back. They have to do it in groups, because when they do it in groups, they see, okay, this child is also taking notes and talking to the person in a certain way. So can I also take notes? So that, you know, children again do that peer learning. The slow learners who are not participating will see that others in the group are participating, and then they will pull up their socks and they will come on to participate. So that is how field trips work. So I know a lot of us do field trips, but our idea of presenting this to you was to tell you that field trips cannot be just a random field trips. Make it very, very specific. Give the children a proper guideline as to how the field trips has to be conducted, what is required of them when they go on field trips. Okay, what are they going to come back with? Ask them to provide you with evidence on what they have learned. It can be as simple as writing on a plain piece of paper and giving it to you. Okay, for younger children who can't write, you can ask them to narrate. You can ask them to orally give you an example of what they have learned, what they have seen, how do you think that is going to help them, and so on and so forth, right? So that is how you can involve children in field trip and get the best out of field trips that are there. Yeah, so that is about field. And finally, the last one is called chunk and chew. Now, if you see, after every strategy, I stop and I ask the panelists to give their ideas. Okay, so when we do a workshop, what we do is, after every activity or after every situation, even in teaching in a class, we stop. Okay, we stop and we ask everybody, have they understood? Can they give examples? Can they do this? Okay, so this is called giving time, thinking and reflecting time to hear every student's every 30 minutes of the teaching. Okay, so this is called chunk and chew. So you take a chunk of the knowledge and you ask the children to chew on that knowledge, to think about it, to reflect, and then kind of respond to the questions asked by the teacher. So this is called chunk and chew. We all do it, but we don't know what it is called. So this is just the name of that process, where we stop, where we pause, and we say, have you understood? And then children think through, and then they'll say, yes, we did. Okay, if they don't understand and then they are silent, then you know that somebody has not understood it, and then you go back and repeat the concept. Okay, so this particular process is called chunk and chew. Okay, I'm sure everybody uses this in some form or the other in their classrooms. Okay, so it can also be used in an informal assessment tool. Okay, because when you pause and you ask, you know as a teacher that the child has understood or not. Okay, so this process is called chunk and chew. And finally, when you close a session, okay, how do you close a session? You would want to take some feedback, and so am I going to do. Okay, and this is a feedback dartboard. What we do in live session is we create a dartboard on a piece of paper and we put it on the wall. Okay, and we ask all the participants to actually put a dot. Okay, put a dot on the board. Okay, so what I would want you to do is, now looking at the dartboard, the panelists here who are there, so you can use this in your classrooms as well. So this is another way to take feedback from your learners. Okay, so you create a dartboard on you can just draw it on the blackboard or a whiteboard if you have, and then you ask your children to come and put a dot, with different color pens. Yeah, the closer you place the dot to the center of the target, the most satisfied you are about the session. Okay, then color red What did you find? Did you find today's activities meaningful or relevant? Okay. The color blue, did you find yourself participating actively in the session? Okay. And color green is if you place a dot there, then do you think you can carry these activities in your classroom? Right? So now what I want you to do is, all the panelists here, I would want you to just tell me where you would want to place your dot, okay? And then share your thoughts and insights about both the day's session, yesterday's and today's, and give us quick feedback before we end this session. Yes, please go ahead. We don't have much time. I think we just about a couple of minutes. Yes. Yeah. People are there?
Ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am,
Yes.
this is Amit, ma'am.
Yeah, Amit, tell me.
Ma'am, I would like to put my dot in blue color.
Okay, blue color. Okay.
Because I have found myself participating in this session on today's session and yesterday's session, both actively. And I have learned so many things from you.
Okay.
And then I will put my dot in green color. And what I have learned new things from you, then I am going to utilize those things in my classroom. So I will put first my color dot in blue color, and then I will put green. And thank you so much, ma'am, for your such a beautiful session.
Thank you.
I am
Thank
blessed
you,
to join this session, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Amit. Thank you so much. Yes. Anybody else?
Yeah, certainly, ma'am.
Sushmita, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever, ma'am, you have asked here, like red, blue, and green. I do also conduct such kind of activities in my classroom. But that is, again, there is a variation in that kind of activity.
I'm sure.
And as in when I complete my lesson, I give all the topics to my students. I say in front of these topics, now you have to mention like it's red, blue, green, lights and all. And you have to mention the topics that you are finding difficult, you have not understood, put red light over there, red dot over there, and wherever you are finding it is crystal clear, put a green single over there. And if you are finding like there are some doubts, so the concept are clear, then they use a yellow color. I give like traffic signal lights and all, those three colors. And here
these are traffic lights.
Traffic lights. I used to give the three colors over there, but here now the question has been put up by you. Like certainly all the activities, they are meaningful, all are relevant. Nothing is irrelevant. And secondly, if I'm saying, I do participated in the event, perfectly right. And if we're talking about can you carry out these activities, surely, ma'am, just tomorrow onwards, Monday onwards, I'm going to implement all the strategies in various classes. I'm fortunate to attend your session, and it was such a knowledgeable, invigorating session. Very good, wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah.
Sushmita, ma'am. I'm actually dying to go back to school again to try out all these techniques and strategies. But then I must tell you that most of what you have taught us, I am sure we'll be able to integrate them into the online learning as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because already we are finding it a big challenge to keep the children,
you will
motivated.
You will be. Don't worry.
Use all of these innovative strategies. I'm sure we'll be able to get their attention and keep them focused in what we're teaching. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else? And then
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, Vishnupriya. Yeah, go ahead.
Ma'am, I'm Vishnupriya. Ma'am, I have learned a lot from you, ma'am. First, I have to go on with the green and red color, ma'am, because I have learned a lot from you, like what I'm going to use a strategy in my future career, whatever it is, ma'am. I have learned a lot. One more, I have to know, like, is this extended with Monday, whatever, how many days it long ago? I can completely, I'm going to attend this session, ma'am. It was very much useful for me, ma'am.
Thank you.
Definitely, I can utilize the strategies in my future career as a teacher, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So any questions, any other questions from the people? Miss Hemlata and Dr. Shivashakti, if there are any other questions, because the session's done. Yeah.
Ma'am, just one question. It was really very interesting attending your session. I came to know about a lot of innovative ideas, and I'm really indebted to you because because a lot of strategies, it was very new to me. And I just want one thing, ma'am, from you, especially gifted and talented. So in order to use their potential to the maximum, which activity do you suggest should be used?
See, I think if they're gifted and talented, then you know your children best, Vandana. No? So if you feel that they are very good or musically inclined, if they are theatrically inclined, if they really like to kind of go outside and do things, so you have to plan your activities accordingly, and then give them only those kind of activities which will enhance their understanding better. So I think that is the only way you can involve gifted and talented students in the regular classroom. Okay, so that is all I have to say to that answer, to that question of yours. Okay, yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else who's asking something? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So any other questions? Dr. Shivashakti, Ms. Premlata? Yeah.
All the questions are relevant to those things only. Okay. Many of the participants have asked the same thing.
Okay. Sure, ma'am. Yeah. So that is all. So that is all we had today. So part 1 and part 2 of teaching strategies, and with that we come to the end of this session, today's session. Thank you very much for the wonderful participation by all the panelists and also the participants who joined us live. Yeah. So that is all from my side. Thank you very much. Over to Dr. Shivashakti. Yeah. Thank you.
Now I request Dr. T. Premlata to deliver the vote of thanks.
I think many of them had shared their experience, and I don't have much words to thank Ms. Susmita.
Yes,
but you must say something.
Yes. Not something. Right from my heart, wholeheartedly, I'm going to say, thank you for sharing your views on different innovative practices.
Thank you.
I would like to express my deep gratitude to you for sparing your valuable time and gracing this occasion with your extraordinary knowledge and presence. My sincere thanks to you, madam, to enrich our minds through information-packed lecture and interactions. I like the way you interact with the participants. Your session was very lively and it boosted many of us who took part in this session. This training program on innovative practice is really useful for our participants. I hope all the participants will carry the knowledge shared by you and apply that in their classroom. As you said, no, it will be in green color.
Yeah. Yes, it should be. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
I also thank the Honorable Vice Chancellor, respected Registrar, Dean of Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University, and the coordinator, Dr. T. Shivashakti Madam, for giving this opportunity to me. Thank you, Shivashakti Madam, and thank you, Sushmita Madam, for sharing your valuable views.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Premlata. Thank you all the participants. Thank you very much.
Really, we all had a nice time with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. I really enjoyed today. It was wonderful. Everybody talking. It was so much fun. I never felt that, I am doing a session. It was more like, I'm just talking. So it was very nice. Thank you very much.
Many collaborative techniques we have introduced, like fishbowl and this. Thank you so much.
That was ongoing. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Now we will meet you once again, ma'am.
Yeah, please. I've given my email ID in the chat. You guys can reach out to us. Yeah. Thank you.
Dear participants, tomorrow's sessions will be starting at 4 o'clock evening.
Yes.
On behavior management in the classrooms by Sandhya Madam and Sushmita Madam.
Yeah, tomorrow you're going to see both of us. Yeah. Okay. See you. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.
It will be at 4 p.m. tomorrow.
Yeah, it's 4 p.m. 4 p.m.